Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It is Friday, May 24th, 2019. It is time for episode number 29 of the News Freaks. I'm Eddie the Edman.
And I'm Terry. Welcome back, Edman.
Yeah, it's good to be back again.
Yes, we did it. We are back after a couple weeks in the lurch. We're back to for another show. I'm excited. Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, and it's going to be hot as Hades here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's so hot. The fire got started.
We're looking at it's about 90, a little low 90s today, but this weekend we could see it get up into the high 90s in the low 100s. That's even without humidity or heat index.
As long as it doesn't rain, I'm happy.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to see rain. In fact, I think everybody's lawn is just going to be scorched in front of their very eyes.
Right.
But yeah, welcome back, everybody, listeners. Hope everybody's had a good couple weeks here in May. I know we've been doing all right, Edman? We've been doing all right.
Sure have.
Yeah. It was good to get back on the old internet and start looking for some topics for us to discuss.
You got some topics? Looks like a full clipboard over there.
There was plenty to choose from. I was almost overwhelmed as to what stories I actually wanted to talk about with the News Freaks. And this brings me to a good point for our listeners out there. We would love anytime when you send us those words of encouragement or the email, again, mail@thenewsfreaks.com, or text us on the text line 904-300-2475. We would love to hear any stories that might have caught your eye. Maybe I or the Edman might have missed them perusing over the vast array of stuff out there.
Yeah, I was thinking, it takes a while to write these shows. Maybe if we could outsource some of the work to the listeners, that things would go by more quickly.
How cheaply can they work for? I mean, can we take bids, competing bids?
It's free. I have thought about changing the email that we have.
Okay.
Instead of mail@thenewsfreaks to email@thenewsfreaks.
You have been.
Because when I'm like, oh yeah, what's our email address? When I'm filling something out, I'm like, oh, it's email@the-news, and then I'm like, no, it's mail@thenewsfreaks. So if that's happening to me,
you think it's happening to the listeners.
And that's probably why we don't get that much mail. It's probably because they're sending it to the wrong address. Probably is the reason.
They're probably just sending it to random addresses in Jacksonville through snail mail, hoping that they find us or somebody gets it that knows us.
I'm sure it's not because of a dearth of listeners.
It's not. I know we have plenty of ears on this thing, and I'm excited. So everybody,
and more all the time.
All the time, growing. It's growing,
yes.
And we're gonna keep trying to grow it. I've been looking at. I was telling Edman yesterday, the last couple of days, I just in the beginning stages, kind of looked at some alternatives maybe to Patreon. After I saw Patreon takes quite a big percentage of what the content providers
they
make.
are too rich for my blood.
Yeah, I mean, me and Edman we're starving artists, as they like to say.
But is it worth it? I mean, if we have a good income from Patreon, what do we care if Patreon takes half of our money or whatever they charge?
This is true. Well, we're gonna find out, because I'm putting some feelers out there. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll get some out there. Maybe listeners can send us $1 or $2 and maybe make our day. Maybe we can buy a pack of ramen or something.
And I'd like to point out that the show has grown in popularity despite the fact that we have tried furiously to hide it from friends and family.
We have. For some reason, I've only Edman and I we're not ready to take the plunge yet. I've only really let certain people in to the fact that I had this, people that I trust with their opinions, to give us some kind of constructive criticism, but I have not unleashed it on my thousands and thousands of social media followers yet.
These are all test shows. Now, if this is the prototype, can you imagine how good the final product is going to be?
Man, they can't imagine that. I can see them right now. They're like, wow, that is going to be amazing.
Although I guess we're going to just be doing the same thing, so probably what you hear now is what you're going to
be pretty similar, yeah. So
no improvement. Needed. None needed.
None
though.
needed. Any plans for you for this Memorial Day
No,
weekend?
I'm going to relax.
Yeah.
I'm going to be happy. I'm off the road.
You breaking out the kiddie pool, put the
Oh, my
hose in
God.
there, and just soak your feet?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do the same. But anyways, it is Memorial Day weekend. Of course, we remember those who lost their lives in service to our country. We are definitely much indebted to those men and women that do that for us and still continue to do that. I know that people get confused kind of Veterans Day and Memorial Day, which is which. I hear that all the time. But I think it's okay if you were to just thank somebody currently serving on Memorial Day or thank somebody currently passed away on Veterans Day. I think they can cross over, right? Well, anyways, Edman, lots and lots to talk about. We haven't done a show since our Mother's Day show a couple weeks ago.
That was a good show.
It was a good show. If you haven't listened to that, you can check that out, our special edition number 3. Again, any podcast format that you podcast provider. We added one, didn't we? We added Podbean.
Podbean, yes.
Yeah, they've been very nice to
Podbean.
us.
They've been.
They've been putting our stuff up on YouTube for us.
Yeah,
They've been,
that's right. We're on YouTube now.
Yeah,
thanks to Podbean, we're on YouTube.
Unbelievable. They've been really a good find, a diamond in the rough, if you will.
Yes.
So anyways, lots to talk about. We're going to dive right in. So Edman, last Sunday, almost a week ago now, but it finally ended. We can finally stop talking about it after this show. Game of Thrones went down Sunday, May 19th.
Down in flames.
The finale was watched by
fire.
an HBO ratings record, 19.3 million viewers. That did not even account for the streaming or on-demand viewers.
Oh, wow. So it's way more.
Yeah,
probably.
that was another 14, 15 million. So they're probably at about 30, 34, 35 million viewers. They sure are. There were rallies held all across the country. That's for sure. There was one guy.
Those were protests.
One guy in particular. I'm going to talk about him. Dylan D. set up a petition on Change.org. Did you see this guy?
Very successful.
Very successful. The name of the petition was "Remake Game of Thrones Season 8 with competent writers."
Competent writers.
Yeah.
Hey, here. And you know what's so funny? Is that
Edman, real quick before you start this, were you able to watch the finale?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts?
I watched every episode.
You watched every episode of
from
this
the beginning to the end.
So you've done it.
I know it all. I've run the gamut.
I think what were they?
Run the gauntlet.
8 seasons, 73 or 74 episodes, I believe.
I don't know how many.
But you did watch
That's
every
how much time
episode
I've
of
wasted.
this season.
Yes.
So I'm
caught up. You can't spoil me.
You know, and again, I'm not going to give much spoilers because, as you know, I didn't really see it. However, you know what the buzz
I know it's
is
bad.
about.
I know how bad.
So you
it is.
didn't.
Yes.
You did not enjoy it.
No, not at all.
Really?
No, it's horrendous.
None of this.
I can't believe people get paid money for this.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Well, these writers were David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, and actually, Edman, you mentioned this to me a few weeks ago off the air. They're going to be the new Star Wars writers.
Why do you remind me of that? And that's what I was going to bring up. Star Wars, the Star Wars has been so bad. The new Star Wars movies are so bad. And I'm like, well, at least Rian Johnson's off of it and they got he's not as bad guy back. And then then they ruined Game of Thrones, and then what did they do? They put him on Star Wars, and I'm like, that's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, I know. Fans are up in arms. This Dylan D, his petition, he said that he wanted the series deserved a final season that made sense, is what he wrote in this petition. He said David Benioff and D.B. Weiss have proven themselves to be woefully incompetent writers when they have no source material to fall back on, meaning the books.
I don't know if woefully incompetent.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
I
can't
complain
be
about
true.
it, but I mean,
that can't be true.
But I do believe that fan theories that I've heard of, but there's a difference between going, well, this is how the story should end and this is the structure of the story, and actually being able to do like dialogue and stuff. And I think their dialogue, I don't know. I'm not a writer, but from what I've seen, I know the show could have been so much better.
Yeah, well, Dylan D is asking, again, once an episode this seems to happen to me, where I just get something, a crumb or a piece of asbestos caught in my throat.
Each episode?
It seems that way.
One time?
I don't know if the listeners feel that way, but I feel that way.
Maybe we should start the show in a few more minutes.
Anyways, Dylan D wants HBO to subvert his expectations and make it happen.
Incidentally,
yes,
I would like to point out that he's probably a big Star Wars fan, because Rian Johnson, when he wrote Star Wars, it was so bad, and every time somebody would point out how bad something was, they'd say, "Well, that was subverting your expectations, and therefore it's good."
Is that on it? Is that true?
I believe that is what the reference is to.
That is something. I would not have gotten that reference. Anyways,
in fact, I saw somebody talking in relation to Game of Thrones, some commentator,
right?
And they were like, "Well, what happened is shocking, and shocking is good." Shocking isn't necessarily good. You should arrive things at an organic way, sort of.
So from what I gathered,
just because it's shocking and just because it's subverting your expectations does not mean it's good.
From what I gathered, just reading everything on social media and the fans' comments, it seemed to me that the fans thought that everything really seemed rushed. The plot lines just seemed like glazed over really quickly this season.
It went from the way Marvel Comics were in the 60s to the way Marvel Comics to the way comics became in the 90s and Marvel Comics.
Okay, interesting. Well, actress Sophie Turner, she plays Sansa. How do you pronounce it?
Sansa.
She plays Sansa Stark on the show.
Memory device.
Okay, and she said that quote, "It's disrespectful to the crew and writers, the filmmakers who have worked tirelessly over 10 years." I'm talking about this change.org petition. It's got about 1 point.
I don't see how it's just. We don't even know who those people are. How is it disrespectful to them?
It's got about
if you think that the writing is garbage, I don't think that means that you think the cameraman doesn't deserve to make a living.
This is true. It's got about 1.5 million signatures and climbing, though. When I was on the page looking at the petition, the numbers were actually clicking over in real time as I was on there.
Yeah.
So you could see the people signing it, and I just did it a couple days ago. So I mean, people are still signing this thing.
Now everyone's saying that that'll never happen, but could you imagine?
Yeah. Well,
if they remade?
Again, this is a 99.9% probability it will not.
Now, I don't look at the background as to the writers' lives and why things happen and stuff like that. But I have been told by my friends who are also big fans and they watch interviews with the writers and all that stuff. Yep. And these writers, by the way, okay, I'll get to that in a second. But I understand that they were rushing it so they could get to Star Wars.
Honestly,
that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true. But these guys
theory.
At the end, they would talk and they would recap the episode in the most incompetent way possible. I thought they were interns.
You told me that.
And it turns out that they're the writers of the show.
That. Really? Yeah, I remember you telling me that a few weeks ago. You said, I was shocked to learn that you just thought it was one of those recap specials like what they used to do.
I thought they threw up somebody who wasn't getting paid to just recap the episode.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this guy... This obviously had social media buzzing. Most people were in the camp like you. They were kind of disappointed or really greatly disappointed. Anyways, Joy Reid.
Disappointed is an understatement. They're picking up torches.
There's a MSNBC correspondent. She's also an author, Joy Reid. She posed this question right after the finale ended on Sunday night, asking fans and Twitterverse for their most disappointing series finales ever. And I thought that'd be kind of fun for us to recap. I've got 14 of the more popular entries in this little contest.
Nice.
Any stand out to you right off the top of your head or
I'm
no?
going to name two.
Okay, sure.
One is Lost, and I never watched that.
Yep.
And by the way, that was J.J. Abrams' Star Wars man.
Well, Lost on this list, and I don't know how they compiled this list or numbered it or if it was in no particular order, but Lost was third on this list.
Interesting.
Of the most disappointing finales.
And another one was an old show. Goodness, I'm not going to think about it, but it was always interesting. I always wanted to watch it. Maybe it was a one-armed man thing. But
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive, no, not The Fugitive, although that might be on there too.
But I thought that was a good finale, was it? I don't know.
Was it? Okay,
yeah.
It might have been. And I never saw that, by the way, and I've always wanted to. I'll watch it at some point. Yeah. But there was another one that took place in an amusement park of madness. He was trapped in an amusement park or something. The Prisoner.
The Prisoner. Okay.
Yes.
It's not on here, but I'll have
not.
No,
Okay.
But
I heard
I'll have
that was
to,
very
I'll have to
disappointing.
check it.
That's
Well,
like
anyways,
from the 60s or something.
here's what, I think they compiled how many answers each person put, and that's how they compiled these 14 shows. But see if you at home agree with any of these. I've seen a couple of them, but I haven't seen all of them.
Seinfeld. Is Seinfeld on there?
Seinfeld was 2, yeah.
Ah.
People hated that finale, and the more I watch it, I don't think it was so bad.
It wasn't so
They were
bad.
in the
Even when I
courtroom, they
watched
kinda
it, I was like,
recapped
it could have been funnier,
Yeah.
but
I mean, yeah, that's what the show was. I mean, it kind of pointed out that they were kind of just shitty people overall, right? In the show, they were just kind of shallow.
if you watch the show from the beginning, they weren't. I feel like I heard in an interview they're like, oh well, they were crummy people.
They weren't really shitty people. I shouldn't have used that harsh a word.
Well, but they did. They used
Right.
that harsh
Yeah.
language
Yeah.
to justify them being in jail, but they weren't always bad. They were helpful to
Yeah.
people. They would be like, hey, you can't do that. You
It
can't
just
say
always
that. And
seemed like for the 4 of them, it was they were at the heart of what they were trying to get every time.
the thing is that
I loved it. I loved Seinfeld. It was one of my favorites.
What I think happened is that the characters wanted to do a self-deprecating ending.
Yeah.
And they thought it was funny, but they didn't realize that a lot of people like the characters and
Right.
they didn't want them to end
Exactly.
up in a bad spot at the end. And I think that's why the people were
I loved how
disappointed.
all 4 of them are sitting in the same cell.
I thought it was, and then just talking again. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, is it like prison humor? Jerry's giving stand up to the,
Right,
to the
right.
prisoners.
I didn't think it was as bad as everybody
Yeah,
thought
me
it was.
neither. So, anyways, number 4. Oh, and real quick, this episode might end up being 2 hours long at the pace we're going.
Oh, it's
but
great.
Jason Alexander actually tweeted out to the actors and the workers on Game of Thrones.
Really?
And told them, I know what it's like to be part of a disappointing
Oh,
finale.
yeah,
You guys did an amazing job. I loved the show for 8 seasons. It kind of gave
now
him a
he's
little
just
words
kissing
of
ass.
Maybe he is. A lot of people did. A lot of people feel it's the best show of all time
and
that they ever saw. And I can't imagine a show with dragons and fantasy and fire and can be the best show of all time, but maybe it can. I don't know.
That what you just described sounds like an amazing show.
Well, that's what but it wasn't. That was not what Game of Thrones was it? So, anyways, let's get to this list quick so we can move on here. 14 on this list was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I never watched it, but my brother was a huge fan.
and I don't know how it ended. I stopped watching after like 4 seasons.
You
or something.
saved yourself some heartache. It
Oh,
seems.
no.
Number 13, Pretty Little Liars. Again, a show I have no knowledge
don't know
of.
anything
Number
about.
12, the original Roseanne. Didn't
Didn't Dan die or something?
It turned out to be a dream, I thought, didn't it?
Was it?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, 11. This one.
Oh, it did, because when they brought it back, they said, well, Dan didn't really die.
Right.
And then they killed off Roseanne.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
Well, it would be funny if they brought her back, said that was a dream.
Yeah, that would. I mean, who knows with that show? Are they doing another season or did they cancel that?
I don't know, actually. They brought it back as the Connors. I think they
Oh,
did
yeah, the
renew
Connors.
it.
Okay. Number 11 on the list. This one kind of cracked me up because I do remember being a kid watching this show, but I don't remember this finale. Alf. That lovable space alien.
I don't remember the finale.
The finale,
that was a
apparently,
good show.
somebody tweeted, "Oh, this is great. My favorite." Something to this effect. This is not a direct quote.
Did he get captured? Or
Yeah,
something?
the government took him and cut him up and experimented on him to see what this thing was about.
Right.
So I think a lot of viewers were kind of sad about that.
And sickened.
Yeah, number 10, another HBO show, True Blood, that vampire
Oh,
show.
yeah, I always wanted to watch
Yeah,
that.
again, that made the list. Number 9, this is a show a lot of my friends claim to be one of the best they ever saw, Sons of Anarchy.
With the bikes?
Yeah, the FX
Never
show.
saw that.
I never saw the finale, but that made the list with a
I
lot
thought
of
that was
fans.
like a reality show. How does it have a disappointing ending?
It was not. No, it was
Okay.
not. It was a total fiction.
Yeah.
8, MASH, which was the biggest biggest watch
MASH
finale
when
ever.
A Hawkeye went crazy.
Is that what
come
happened?
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
he went. The war finally.
So was
got
it
to
was
him.
it a bad ending or
It was bad because the dude is a wisecracker, and then it shows that he wasn't able to resist.
To hold
it. I
his
mean,
gut, right.
I guess it kind of sounds good.
Yeah, right. It does actually. As you say it, I'm like, okay, that's
But
realistic.
I remember it being kind of dumb. As a matter of fact, what happened on the last episode was Alan, I think it opened like this. Alan Alda's character, Hawkeye, which everybody loved on the show, and I think he'd been there since near the start. Actually, it was a replacement for another doctor. But anyway, what happened was this lovable, wisecracking guy. There's a rooster that is crying, or a chicken or something like that. He's like, tell your chicken to be quiet. And I can't remember if he told the mother, because they didn't want to get found by the enemy.
Right,
the
of
baby
course.
was the chicken was very loud, and
Yep.
it turned out to be a baby.
Oh, really?
And so he had encouraged the mother to kill the baby. The baby died.
Really?
Yes.
Are you kidding?
No.
I gotta look that up.
I mean, that's not what you want to see. The
in a
happy-go-lucky
comedy that you've
guy.
watched, right?
Yeah. But in his mind, it was a chicken.
Would you describe MASH as a comedy drama?
Dramedy.
Dramedy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
meant to say. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's about war. It's hard to... They did it. I guess Hogan's Heroes.
Right. This is true. This is true. Number 7. I've heard this from a lot of people, and I used to love this show, but I can't remember if I saw the finale or not. The
No one wants to see Alan Alda choking his chicken.
Ed's still back on MASH.
Sorry, all right, go
I'm
ahead.
moving on to the X-Files
Yes,
as
the
our next one.
X-Files, yeah.
Great show. I used to love that show. I thought it was great. It
was
had a
very
lot of really
good.
good stories.
Very
I
good.
I couldn't tell you what the finale would have been about.
I heard it
though.
went off the rails, and it turned out that there were like aliens, and they killed Mulder.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Mulder
they killed
got
the main
Man.
guy.
Number 6, again, another show I absolutely love, definitely on my top of the list. And the finale, I can see why people were upset about The Sopranos. The Sopranos, were you a Sopranos guy?
No, I never watched.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Sopranos.
very, very good show.
But I've seen the ending because it's been parodied.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Poor Tony meets it in a diner.
Yeah.
No, number 5, How I Met Your Mother. This fan base was really vocal about this show. In fact, I would say out of all the Twitterverse, the comments I looked at, How I Met Your Mother was one of the most vocal fan bases as to how much they disliked the ending.
Well, I've never watched the show, but I have
know the
seen
concept, right?
the concept, and I've seen parts of episodes, and I remember seeing an episode open, and that's How I Met Your Mother, or this How I Met Your Mother,
Right.
and then like 2 or 3 seasons later, they're doing the same shtick, and I'm like, how long can they keep this?
He
going
told
on
this story
for?
to his kids for apparently 8-10 years. I mean, they were just sitting on the couch listening to this story, but it happened in the span of a very short story time.
And then
apparently.
I don't know, but I think that at the end they actually met the lady. Or
They
something,
did, and it turned. And I
destroyed the
believe,
premise?
and this again, I don't know because I
They
did
weren't
watch this-
together?
I know. I believe that it was somebody who was maybe. I don't know if it was somebody that was never even introduced in the show, or
Right.
possibly. I don't know. I might be wrong on that.
But it was How I Met Your Mother, and then they broke that concept, and it had nothing to do with how he actually met them.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that was on the list, and the fans were still upset about that one. Number 4, Ed, man, I was going to ask your opinion because I know I didn't see this. Battlestar Galactica.
I watched Battlestar Galactica as a kid, and it was a great show, but I don't remember the endings for either of them, but I think they botched them both.
Did
I think
really?
they ended both of those, the old one and the reboot, having bad endings.
Really? That's interesting. Fans were pretty adamant on that one, too, that they kind of dropped the ball on Battlestar Galactica. I'm going to have to just check out I'll just be spoiler for all these shows. I'll just watch the very last episode without watching
you know
the
what?
shows.
In the original Battlestar Galactica, the old one, they ended up coming to Earth.
Really?
Yeah, you always thought it was like the space thing, like Star
Yep.
Wars,
And then
thousands
they
of
just
years in
end
the
up
future. So
hanging out with us schlubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the kids could jump super high because the gravity on Earth was different than the gravity on their ships. I was like, that's dumb, and I was a kid thinking that's dumb.
And that's weird.
I
because you
hate
would've
those
thought-
kids.
You would have thought that would have been cool as a kid,
Yeah.
but maybe not. So we talked about already the number 3 and 2
If I
entries
could do it.
on the list.
Now some asshole alien could do it.
Boy, it seems like you're still harboring some feelings about that. Number 3 was Lost. Number 2 was Seinfeld. And the number 1 on the list, this was pretty much by far the biggest Twitter outrage for fans of this show. And I remember when I watched the first couple seasons and then kind of fell off. It was a Showtime show. My friend was a big viewer of this, and he said that they really screwed up this ending too. It was Dexter, Showtime's Dexter, with the serial killer. He killed all the bad people. I guess that last season it really went off the rails.
I wanted to watch that because it had a good premise, and then John Lithgow was on it.
John Lithgow's great.
He is really good.
There's rarely something I've seen him in that I don't like, and he plays such a great bad guy too.
He is a great bad
Wasn't
guy.
he? Was he the bad guy in Cliffhanger? I believe I remember him from that one.
I don't know, but the name of that sounds like maybe that was later in his career.
That was the Stallone movie where at the beginning he loses his girlfriend, wife, he can't hold on to her anymore. Oh yeah,
like
that was
Lion
classic.
King.
That was classic, kind of. It was classic. Yeah, so Dexter was the top spot on that list. And that was an interesting list, and that shuts out Game of Thrones for us. We will never talk about this original series again. People, we're like a time capsule for people that will hear about this amazingly popular show.
That's right.
And people be like, what the heck was Game of Thrones? Now, again, we talked last week or the week before. They do have some prequels in the works, so I guess Game of Thrones fans can look forward to that.
Yeah. But doesn't this retroactively ruin the prequels? Because you know what happens now later on. That's what Star Wars did for me, right? They're like, I never understood the expression that something could ruin your childhood, like this movie
and it
ruined
did,
my childhood. But it really does, because when you watch the old ones, you know how the characters end up, and it's all bad.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Ed, that wasn't the only thing that happened in our few weeks off here. Last Tuesday, that would be May 14th, we said goodbye to internet celebrity Grumpy Cat. Ed, man, you know Grumpy Cat, right?
No, I don't know.
Oh, at the age of 7, Grumpy Cat passed away from a UTI, urinary tract infection. That doesn't sound
now,
pleasant.
Grumpy Cat
for a
was
cat.
an actual cat.
It was an actual cat. Yeah, her actual name was Tartar Sauce.
Tartar Sauce.
Tardar sauce.
That's
Tartar
clever.
Sauce. I don't know where they came up with that name. But anyways, she had that grumpy look that captured the hearts of pet lovers and meme creators around the globe. Was actually, yeah, you're going to take a look and look up Grumpy Cat. I can't believe you don't know off the top of your head.
No, I think I know what you're talking
well,
about.
her unique look was caused by an underbite and feline dwarfism. I didn't know that was a thing either. But she came to national attention back in September 2012 when owner Tabitha Bundinson's brother Brian, there's Grumpy Cat, Tartar
That is a
Sauce.
great look.
Yeah, posted a picture of the cat on Reddit, and that thing just blew up. The rest is history. So you can see we're looking at some memes featuring Tartar Sauce there. The family announced the death last Friday. That would have been May 17th, so just about a week ago. And messages came in from all over the world. From fans on social media extending their condolences. Grumpy Cat has quite the social media presence, Edman.
Yeah, I have seen this dude.
8.3 million Facebook followers.
That's impressive.
2.4 million Instagram followers. And 1.5 million Twitter followers.
How does it feel to know you'll never be as successful as a cat?
It's unreal. It's unreal. Yeah, I was going over I guess you could call it a career of Grumpy Cat, and this is pretty impressive, Edman. You want to know how many, I guess you could say how many paws she had her financial stake in. Listen to this. Grumpy Cat has 8 registered trademarks, okay, with the U.S. Patent Office here. 1,000 items available on Grumpy Cat's online shop. So you can buy more than 1,000 different Grumpy Cat related items.
Right.
Yeah. Won a $710,000 copyright infringement lawsuit a few years ago against Grenade Beverages. They were trying to do a Grumpy Cat coffee kind of drink.
Those bastards.
And yeah, $710,000 right there. But yeah, Grumpy Cat had quite the run starting in 2013. Went to South by Southwest Festival, that film media music festival they hold every year in Austin. Hundreds of people waited outside to get their pictures taken. They went for blocks. 2014, Grumpy Cat appeared on the finale of The Bachelorette, popular reality show. Also on an episode of WWE Monday Night Raw as well. I don't know if Grumpy Cat got in the ring there or what.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Grumpy Cat in 2014 starred in her very own Lifetime movie, Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever.
That's not true.
Voiced by Aubrey Plaza. It is true. It was a critically panned movie, but a movie nonetheless. Became the spokescat for Friskies that same year as well. Also appeared in a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial.
Would a company called Friskies, which sounds so happy, want this cat, which looks like it's never moved?
So get this, Edman. Also wrote a book. Grumpy Cat wrote a book called Know It All. Know-It-All. Know It All. Sold more than 500,000 copies in 15 different languages. Unreal, right? So anyways, the Bundesons, their owner, have not revealed their net worth, but get this, a lot of estimates put it anywhere between $50 and $100 million.
Oh my God, that's enough to get another cat surgically altered.
Edman, we could get another couple mics for the studio here with that. Edman really likes to purchase mics. Every time I come in, we've got a new microphone here.
Got my eyes on another one. Man.
So yeah, R.I.P. Grumpy Cat, that lovable meme creator there. You will be missed, I'm sure, by people who love cats that look like they're not having fun. So one more here, Ed. We're foregoing the big story this week because I had so much to talk about up front here. One more, and you know I've been keeping
you'll talk about the fire in California, but you won't talk about the one here in Florida?
Oh, Ed, man, we can't talk about the fires anymore. You know, we were losing listeners left and right in the early days of the podcast. I kept talking about those wildfires.
Oh, yeah.
People were getting depressed.
I don't think it was the fires. It was your running death toll count. From week to week.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling myself for the beginning of this podcast for some reason.
We were finding our way.
we sure were. We didn't quite know what we were going to be. Anyways, you know, I've been keeping my eye on this one, Ed, man. After Jeopardy took a week hiatus last week for Teachers Week. They had a teachers tournament. But Jeopardy James came back this past Monday to continue his run. And last night, he
lost.
Barely won.
He won
again. 26 straight.
That's funny they took a hiatus. I feel like they did it for the same reason that a coach calls a timeout when the other team is hot.
Well, actually, these episodes, like I said, we talked about it maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. They're already recorded. They're done. But they have these tournaments that come up, you know, the teen tournament, college tournament, teachers tournament. Just so happened that this was scheduled for then.
Let's save some money this week.
That would have been good thinking. Well, anyways, he won in tight fashion last night. He won another $52,108, bringing his overall total to about $9,000 short of $2 million in winnings.
But he is far shy of Grumpy Cat territory.
Oh, he really is. He's still chasing Grumpy Cat. He's averaging more than $77,000 per show. Now, last night he was only ahead by $54,000 over, $5,400 over challenger Nate Sheffley last night. He had 31,200 and Sheffy had 25,800 when they went into Final Jeopardy. The category was Jazz Classics, Edman. See if you would get this one in early game time for you. I was able to get this right when I looked at it. Yeah.
Okay.
The question was, in one account, this song began as directions written out for composer Billy Strayhorn to Duke Ellington's home in Harlem. Jazz Classics.
Jazz Classics.
Written out for composer Billy Strayhorn to Duke Ellington's home in Harlem.
Don't know this one.
Yeah, it was Take the A Train.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that was what he had to do to get to Duke Ellington's home. Well, anyways, Jeopardy James got it right. His challenger got it right, but James wagered like 20 grand and the challenger wagered some ridiculous low amount. And so Jeopardy James won comfortably, but it wasn't comfortable going in. Apparently that Nate Sheffy got a few daily doubles that he wagered really low on and got him right. So if he had just said,
you just went for it.
Now I would have said, and again, it's easy for me to say because it's not my money on the line.
Yeah.
But if I was that Nate Sheffy and I was that close on that Jazz Classics one, I would have said, you know what, I'm rolling the dice here.
Go all the way.
And if he had gone all the way, he would have had it. Yeah. But again, easy for me to say in that position.
It's not just knowing your trivia, it's strategy too.
Correct. So, Edman, I think, looking this over, I think that does it for catching us up. And now we're going to get into news thing number 1.
All right.
Yeah, Edman. I don't want to be corny here, but I'm going to be. I really went down the rabbit hole on this next story.
Corny rabbit hole.
Yeah. The next story's news thing 1 here is going to take us to Rockefeller Center in New York City, and it involves a 3-foot or more than 3-foot tall rabbit. Can you imagine?
Okay.
I'm always intrigued by worlds I don't know anything about.
Yes.
So this story, when I was researching it, it really sucked me in, and I wish I had been wise enough to go into the art world racket. I should have done that. Because last Wednesday, that was May 15th, famous Christie's Auction House there in New York held a post-war and contemporary art evening sale, which according to Christie's website featured an exceptional selection of works by some of the most important names in 20th century art, alongside paintings by some of today's most exciting contemporary artists. That was very well written. That made me want to go to an art auction.
Hey, I want to check that out.
Yeah. Well, anyways, sale totals, including buyers' premiums for the whole lot, that whole evening, was a staggering $538,971,750. That was just for 50 some odd pieces of art.
Now that's Grumpy Cat money.
That's good. Yeah, we're in Grumpy Cat territory. Anyway, the art world's alive and well. They say people aren't thriving in this economy. You look no further than Christie's auction house. These people got it to spend, and they're going to spend it. Well, the talk of the auction, Ed, the reason for this story, it was a stainless steel 41-inch tall bunny. It's a sculpture by artist Jeff Koons. It's called Rabbit. I mean, no need to really get too fancy with the title there. It came from the collection of magazine and media mogul S.I. Newhouse. They own Condé Nast, the magazine conglomerate there, Vogue, Vanity Fair, New Yorker. Yeah. What happened on this bid for Koons' Rabbit here, it took more than 10 minutes of spirited bidding, and it resulted in a winning offer of, hold on to your seat here, Ed, $80 million.
Oh my!
By dealer Robert Mnuchin, who is the father of U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin.
Well, he just figured I'd just print up some more money and pay for the...
Well, actually, he's an art dealer. He was acquiring the piece for a client, apparently.
Right.
But anyways, with the auctioneer's fees, the final sale price was $91,075,000 for this 3-foot-tall stainless steel sculpture of a faceless rabbit.
It's only about 40 cents per U.S. citizen.
Now, here's some interesting facts about this piece. It looks like an inflatable balloon, but it's stainless steel. It'd be like something you would buy at Publix if you were headed to a birthday party real quick, for a kid. It's shiny, as I mentioned before, faceless, and it was made in 1986 by this artist, Jeff Koons. It was originally sold back in 1986, the same year he made it, to an American painter named Terry Winters for $40,000.
Little did he know what a bargain he was getting.
Can you imagine being Terry Winters last Wednesday when you were seeing what that thing sold for at auction? Yeah. I mean, it's another financial blunder for a guy named Terry. That's all I got to say there. Anyways, the Newhouse estate bought it from, because it's only had 3 owners now. This is only the 3rd time it's been sold. That Newhouse estate bought it in the 90s for about $1 million. Okay. And I'd say they got a pretty nice return on investment.
Yeah.
Edman is looking that up on the internet. I'll continue talking about this.
Is the R in rabbit capitalized? Or?
I think you can put Jeff Koons Rabbit. I think you'll find it. In case you're wondering, Ed, Jeff Koons doesn't get any of that $91 million. Which is kind of heartbreaking, isn't it?
Taking out some trademarks.
Yeah, right? It makes a lot of people in the art world kind of happy, though, because apparently he's seen as kind of kitschy or banal. And people think he's got no originality.
Those derogatory words?
They are. Now, I went to his website. That's what I mean. Like, I got kind of sucked in because this sale marked a new benchmark for a living artist. That's the highest amount paid for a living artist's work. Okay? It surpassed the British artist David Hockney, whose Portrait of an Artist, Pool with Two Figures, sold at a November Christie's auction for about $90.3 million. Okay? So that's pretty impressive as well. But if you're wondering who held the record before David Hockney, it was Jeff Koons.
What?
Yes. He had sold Balloon Dog Orange. Same idea here. It looks like an inflatable thing, but it's a orange steel balloon dog. Sold that for a paltry $58.4 million in 2013.
And guys, that's actually what this looks like. If you imagine you walk up to like a magician and you say, "Hey, can you make me a rabbit?"
Yep.
He makes you a rabbit, but the balloons that he uses are made out of chrome silver. Yeah. Then that's what this looks like.
It's unbelievable, right? So so this is the second time that Koons has made this list of biggest living artists, and this isn't all he does. He's done a ton of stuff, and we're going to talk about it in a minute.
I feel like there's more to this story.
There really isn't, Ed. Ed, this is just kind
How can you pay this much for a silver
This is what I mean.
balloon animal?
Some people just have too much money and they need to be taxed at a higher rate. I mean, look at this garbage.
This guy is
It's not
related to
garbage.
the secretary, the Treasury Secretary.
This guy isn't related. The guy that put the winning bid is
No, I'm saying the one who paid too much money.
He acquired it for.
Is related to the U.S. Treasury
Correct.
Secretary. They're not going to get taxed. We are.
Yeah, they think he acquired it for hedge fund billionaire Stephen A. Cohen, although that's unconfirmed. Anyways, Mnuchin, he has enough on his hands right now. He announced that the Harriet Tubman $20 bill will no longer be happening, and they won't revisit it till 2028. And the racism cries are strong across the internet. They've been waiting for years. How long does it take to design a new bill? Can't take that long.
Can't take that long.
No, it absolutely
Let's get this
can't.
dude to do it.
Yeah, right. See, you're looking at his Popeye. I was going to talk about more of his other artwork.
But if you think the cries of racism are bad now, imagine when Jeff Koons designs a Harriet Tubman looking like made of balloons.
You're right. Hey, it could be. It could be. A couple other noteworthy sales from last Wednesday's sale. Pop artist Robert Rauschenberg's Buffalo 2 sold for just shy of $89 million, if you want to pop that up, Ed. Buffalo 2, he's kind of a pop artist. It features a lot of just... I can't even explain it, really. There's a picture of JFK that's pretty prominent.
What's the name of this
Buffalo
thing?
2. Just Buffalo 2. You should be, Robert Rauschenberg is the artist's name. That sold for just shy of $89 million, as I mentioned. So that was pretty. Again,
Peanuts.
Yeah, peanuts, right? Yeah, you're looking at it right there, Ed, man. It's kind of a pop arty thing. It's got I believe an astronaut on there. It's got some big events that were part of the 20th
I need
century.
to get into this art.
I know,
gig.
that's what I said. I can't believe it. There was another one too that sold for $32 million. Louise Bourgeois, her towering bronze statue called Spider. It's basically just a huge iron spider that you would put in your living room and scare the bejesus out of young children. Look at that thing. Would you want that in your living room? No, I don't even think that's the one. I think it's one of those creepy looking things. Yeah, that sold for $32 million. So yeah, I again, art is alive and well. I really should have.
It's like a paper mache spider.
Yeah. The Wednesday Christie sales was hot on the heels of a Tuesday, May 14th sale, where a Monet Haystack series painting at Sotheby's went for a cool $110.7 million. That's the most expensive impressionist artwork ever sold at auction.
Monet is great, though.
People have the money to dish out on this stuff. It's a status thing for these people. They say, what else can we do with this money? They really can't do anything else. Yeah, it was one of these Haystack series paintings where it's just kind of like...
Well, in a way, the podcast here is art.
It is art. It's considered art. I believe that. Well, anyways, and I want to give you a few final notes on this Jeff Koons character. I went to his website and looked at a ton of his stuff, like you just brought up. It ranges from everyday household items to Popeye, the Incredible Hulk. There's a really cool one he did, though, called Puppy, back in 1992. It's a 43-foot tall topiary sculpture of a Westie Terrier. It's got flowers all around it. I thought that was pretty cool. Look at that thing. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's neat.
That's pretty impressive, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's in Spain. I think it's at a museum in Spain right now is where that's housed. That has to have a team of, I can't even imagine how many people to make sure that thing doesn't lose its luster.
It's like a dog made of plants.
Yeah, it's really cool. That one's cool. But anyways, one last note on this Koons guy. As I was scrolling through his works, there's a 1989 sculpture series he made called Made in Heaven. Mm-hmm. And it shows him and his Italian porn star, later turned politician wife. Her name's Cicciolina. Her real name's Alana Stoller, I guess. They're just sculptures of them in very sexual acts and positions. It's really crazy. Like their relationship was short-lived. They could barely communicate because of their language barrier. Yeah, here's some of the sculptures here, Ed. He did like a whole series of them in kind of different sexual acts, and it's crazy. These people were paying like millions of dollars for these things. But like I said, they only lasted about 2 years. They did have a son named Ludwig before splitting. This guy has quite the life story. He's one of the he could make anything, right? This guy has built himself up in the art world now where he could design anything.
And he is.
And he would, yes, and he is, exactly. And he could sell it for an outrageous amount.
Right.
And I think what's got to happen, I've got to go and watch some daytime TV and look for that commercial for the art correspondence school where I have to draw the monkey or whatever, send it back to them, and they let me know where my talent level is.
I thought you were going to say enter the art world and then fake your own death.
Wow. Well, who knows? At this rate, maybe I'll do that too.
Actually, you know what? That's a great idea. And then as famous as you might be for faking your death, when you come back, you'd be even more famous.
You'd be in demand for
and
sure.
And then when you really die.
Yeah, you'd be in demand.
Or people think you really die again.
Edman, are you going to do this in your own life?
I'm going to look into it.
Okay. Hey, can't hurt.
I need some of that Grumpy Cat cash.
All right, Edman, off we go. We are moving on to game time.
Yes.
So Edman, I got all pumped up with that art story there because I thought, man, I missed the boat. I missed my calling.
Oh, I thought it was because you were looking at the Made in Heaven pictures.
Oh, well, it was getting a little steamy in here. I'll tell you that. In fact, do we have a cold washcloth anywhere in the studio? Yeah. So my game time today, Edman, we're going to go to the lavish side of life and talk about some of the more expensive things that this world has to offer.
Okay.
We're really living high off the hog this episode, Edman.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
We're just throwing money around like it's nothing, like it's made of paper.
We're making it rain in the studio. We're not making it rain Tubmans, but we're making it rain nonetheless. All right, so game time, Ed. I'm going to ask you and the listeners some questions about some things that were very, very expensive, okay?
Yeah.
Listeners at home, play along with us if you got any questions or comments about anything we talk about here on the News Freaks. Again, that text line, 904-300-2475. We'd love to hear from you guys. I mean, we sit by that phone. I saw Ed the other day. He had no lights on. It was just the glow of the phone. He was waiting for text messages to come in. It was very sad. I should have painted a picture of that. Could have sold that one. Yes. Anyways, here we go, Ed. Question number 1. Released in 2011, the 4th movie in what popular Disney franchise is the most expensive movie ever made, costing $379 million?
The 4th movie?
Yeah. There's actually been 5 of them. There has been 5. It is not an animated Disney movie. It is a live-action Disney movie. Yeah, released in 2011, the 4th movie in this Disney franchise is the most expensive movie ever made, costing $379 million.
And you're saying it was live action?
Yeah. I've got a couple clues for you if you need them. Number 1, the main actor in this movie for this 2011 film received $55.5 million.
That's a lot. This
sure is
Disney property?
Yes.
It's not Spielberg?
It is not. It's based on actually a Disney amusement park ride.
Oh my goodness! 2011.
You're gonna kick yourself.
Park ride.
You're gonna kick yourself.
It's got to be the. No, it can't be the Haunted Mansion.
No,
I've never seen a Haunted Mansion movie. That
I tell you, the Haunted Mansion, that 3rd movie though, that was great.
Haunted Mansion 3 was really a breakthrough.
Haunted Mansion 5, they kind of lost their steam a little bit.
All right, what is it?
Give you one more hint, you and the listeners, if you haven't got it yet. This was subtitled On Stranger Tides.
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Or Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever your
How
pleasure.
do they pronounce it?
I think they call it the... I'm trying to think of the commercials.
Caribbean.
Yeah, we'll call it whatever we want. $379 million, though. And man, but hey, listen, it was worth the investment. It made more than $1 billion at the box office. So, I mean, they got their money back threefold just at the box office, and now people are watching it all over the place.
You know, Coons could probably just throw a coat of wax over any of those props that they had left over and sell it for a
This
Jill.
is true. Depp, the directors and the makers of this movie, because Depp was really holding out for a big payday. I don't think he was going to get that big a payday, but they said, we got to pay him because without him, I think this franchise just goes south, and they wanted to have made another one. So it turned out to be a good gamble. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th movies on this most expensive ever made list are the Avengers series movies. And then number 5 is another Pirates of the Caribbean. So those are the top 5 slots. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You got to spend money to make money.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Listen, I'm going to take that to heart at some point in my life. Here we go. Question number 2. In 2017, the Church of Latter-day Saints made headlines by paying for what original Joseph Smith manuscript? $35 million they paid for it.
Oh, it must be the equivalent of the Bible, but for the thing.
It is. Do you know what that book is, Edman?
Yes, the books of Joe.
Oh, so
books
close.
of Joseph.
So close. It's actually a very popular
The Smith Bible.
It's a popular Broadway play that
the Books of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
Book of
Yeah, that's amazing. $35 million. They say the church is not doing well, but they had some generous donors there.
They always do.
Yeah. And going back to expensive things, I didn't have to throw this in because the most expensive TV show per episode, we already talked about. Those Game of Thrones, 15 mil per episode they averaged.
Though most of those were pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But I do think it looked a little CGI-y.
Yeah, well, hey. So in 2017, like I said, Church of Latter-day Saints, they passed a 1994 sale to a guy you might have heard of, Bill Gates. He actually bought the Codex Leicester. It's a Da Vinci manuscript for $31 million back in 94.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Codex Leicester. Yeah, that seems just like it's got some good shit in it, doesn't it? They should make the Codex Leicester movie film series.
Dan Brown can.
Yeah, right. It seems like a Dan Brown movie, doesn't it? All right, number 3. The Holy Grail for stamp collectors is a 24-cent postage stamp produced back in 1918 called the Inverted Jenny. It was a printing error featuring what thing upside down?
Jenny.
Yep. What was the Jenny? What's a Jenny?
Oh, the cotton gin.
Oh no, that would have been great. A cotton gin upside down. That was the Eli Whitney, the inverted Eli Whitney.
Couldn't they just turn the stamp the other way?
Well, then you're going to have the writing wrong.
That's true.
It was a plane actually, the first plane that ever delivered mail. It was the Jenny. They call it. It was like the CN4 JN, and they just called it
maybe the
Jenny.
plane was just doing a trick, and it wasn't a printing error at all.
So again, they made this back in 1918. They have only discovered one pane of 100 of these stamps, and they're all separate. They're all like floating around out there. Sale prices do vary, but the most recent in 2018, the one single stamp sold for about 1.6 million.
Nice.
Yeah. You know what they call stamp collecting? That art? It's called philately. Philately. Philately?
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Not touching that.
I mean, there's a lot of licking when it comes to stamp. Although, okay,
Philatio.
we're moving right on. Number 4. All right, Edmund. Where is that cold washcloth? Do we have an intern? We haven't got interns yet. We're still working on it. Number 4, the special edition Princess Diana bear is considered to be the rarest and most expensive version of this popular 90s fad toy.
The Teddy Ruxpin thing.
No.
The fad toy?
Yeah, it was a purple. It had a white rose
Furby.
on it. It's a poem. No, it was a Beanie Baby, Edmund.
Oh yeah.
Now here's the thing. They made 2 different versions. One was filled with just these PE pellets.
I guess the Princess Diana Furby would have been a little insulting.
Yeah, it would. Start singing "Candle in the Wind" every time you walked by it. Oh, that's awful. My mom loved Princess Diana. She was in a deep depression for months after that happened. I think a lot of ladies.
And it was a good song, but I still feel Elton John shouldn't have recycled
the
song.
We talked about that on a different episode,
there.
I believe. So, anyways, what the difference is, whether you got a dud or if you're looking through your Beanie Babies at home, maybe you think, oh my God, I have this one. It's purple. It's got the white rose on the chest. It's got a poem on like the Beanie Baby's foot, like a poem honoring Princess Diana. There's 2 different versions. One was made with PE pellets, which is what most of the Beanie Babies are made with. But at the beginning, they used to use what are called PVC pellets, which are polyvinyl chloride pellets. They stopped that in 1998 for environmental reasons. So that's the way that you would know you had one of these rare Princess Diana ones if the pellets were different. And I wouldn't know how to tell the difference between them. But they'll sell anywhere between $6,000 and $32,000 for this Beanie Baby. Somebody on eBay has one up for $500,000, but I don't think anybody's keen to buy that one quite yet. Anyways, we're moving on. Question number 5. Edman, how many of these you got right? Did you get any right?
No.
You have not got any. You were trying to just glaze over the fact that you're 0 for 4. Question number 5. In 2018, WeatherTech CEO David McNeil shelled out $70 million for a 1963 one of these, making it the most expensive car in the world.
Corvette.
Incorrect.
No.
It was a Ferrari 250 GTO. There was only 39 of these babies made between 1962 and 1964.
Did this one win a race?
It did. It won a Tour de France.
That's why.
Yeah. And this is so weird. David McNeil, WeatherTech. You heard of WeatherTech? Guess what they'd make?
What?
They make like a luxury, high-end, like accessories for your car, like the things you put on the bottom of your car, like what are they called? The mats, the car mats, and like holders for like your what do they call those mats you put in cars? Car mats. Yeah, they're like high luxury end things. And this WeatherTech,
WeatherTech, I thought they made like umbrellas or something.
They make all kinds of different products, but they started making things for your car, like cup holders that were that spill proof and all kinds of weird stuff like that.
That does sound useful.
Well, you can look it up, WeatherTech.com. You can check out the website and see how this guy afforded one of those babies. Number 6, released in 1983, Williams's blaster is the world's most valuable one of what?
What did you just say?
Williams's blaster is the world's most valuable one of these. There's only 5 of them that have ever been made.
Blaster. It sounds like a gun, like a water gun.
Oh, so close. They run about $12,000 a piece. There was only 5 ever made. It's an arcade machine, Ed. The Williams company, Williams Gaming blaster. It was a cockpit.
I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, I didn't either when I looked at this. But again, they run for about $12,000. Ed, man, we got a place here in our fair city that has vintage arcade games. You go in, can have a couple drinks, you can play arcade games. And I think you pay just one fee and you can just play all of them. I don't know if it's like $20 or something. You play
Really? That sounds great.
It's really cool.
Where is this?
Some of my friends have gone. I don't know the name of it.
Let's get them to advertise on the show.
You know what? Maybe we could take a trip out there one time. We'll go and do that.
We'll take a camera and have
that
us
would
play
be great.
games.
Because they have literally hundreds of these old any of the arcade games you remember playing as a kid. They've got them. Pinball machines, arcade games, anything.
Do they have Pac-Man?
I'm gonna guess they do. Yeah, so that would be fun. We're gonna put that on the.
Do they have blaster?
We're gonna. I doubt it. There was only 5 ever made. That would be a good coup if
what
they did.
What a coup! Yes.
Yeah. You were about to say the same word, weren't you?
Yep.
We're gonna put that on the whiteboard. We're gonna go to this place. I'm gonna get the name of it for you guys. Maybe they can be our sponsor.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 7. In 2006, a Russian billionaire bought one of these for $168 million, making it the most expensive item ever sold on eBay.
The presidency.
Oh, wow. Edman, very timely.
Jumping on the Russian conspiracy bandwagon.
Very timely. So, yeah, any clues what you could buy on eBay for $168 million?
Oh, God, there's any number of things. You get stamps, you can get bears, you can get everything.
Ed, it seems like you're just naming items.
Cars.
Seems like you're naming items we've already covered in this quiz.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a rocket ship?
That was a good guess, actually.
Got the old Enterprise shuttle.
It was a 405 foot giga yacht. A yacht, a Frank Mulder designed yacht. He's a naval architect, and actually, these yachts sell for almost $200 million. So he got a hell of a deal doing it on eBay. Yeah, he had to put down a deposit and everything. He did that just in 2017, so good for him.
Man, imagine how much NASA could make if they put the old Columbia shuttle up for eBay sale. Wouldn't that be
pretty cool?
Maybe they could get some funding like that.
That would be cool. Well, Ed, man, we're moving on to question 9, and I don't want to say it, but you are chasing down history today.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Question number 9.
It's bad.
The wrong side of history. Made in 1716 and rarely played, the Messiah is considered to be the most valuable one of these in the world.
Wait, it has to be the Stradivarius.
Oh, Edman, you did it. You will not get skunked today. It's the Messiah Stradivarius. It's a violin, folks. It is one of the most valuable one in the world. It's only been played a couple times. It is...
Good thing I didn't go with harpsichord, which I was.
That would have been great. Actually, you know what? I gave you question 9 before question 8. I think that's what did it. I switched up the format for you, and it got you back on the ball. I think it does, because you would have got this next one wrong, and then you might have been just
the comments would have been gone.
Exactly.
I would have said harpsichord.
But yeah, that Stradivarius looks like a real nice violin. I'd like to get my hands on that and play a few
Me too, but to sell.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. So I guess they're valuing this thing at about 20 to 25.
It'd be like,
grand.
are you sure you don't want to play it before you get rid of it? No,
absolutely not. Played once by the Edman. Oh man, now I can only sell it for $10.
Value it. Yeah,
absolutely. Question number 8. In 2017. There was a guy called William Lewis Jr. He shelled out $148.99 for the most expensive drink challenge at what popular chain?
Cripes.
Yeah, I told you.
Popular chain. Yeah. I should be asking you this question.
It's not an alcoholic drink. I'll tell you that.
Popular drink.
I would never pay $148.99. I'm happy to see the cheapest amount I can pay for a beer. You think at those $1 beers at the Moose Lodge? I'm in.
Beer TGI Fridays.
It's not a beer. It's not about beer. Most expensive drink challenge. I said nothing
Drink
about
at
alcohol.
all?
Yep. $148.99. He did this in Washington D.C. It was during the 2017.
At a popular chain.
Yeah.
Is Cheers a chain?
Yeah,
I know. It doesn't have to do with alcohol.
Here's the name of it.
Okay.
It was a super venti flat white.
Oh, that's got to be the Starbucks.
Of course, it's Starbucks. If Katie was here, she would have nailed that one.
She would have.
Yeah. Guess what this thing's made up of? It's made up of three ristretto shots of venti flat white, which I have no idea. That's a different language to me. But 170 espresso shots as
Greek
well.
to me.
170. Espresso shots as well. It's got 11,200 milligrams of caffeine in it. You have to share it with friends or else your heart would just pop, like literally shoot out of your chest.
Yeah, is that legal?
Well, I mean, they must have told him that you can't drink it all in one sitting. He brought his big mug in to get it filled up. Anyways, he did this back in 2014 too with a different drink for $83. So this guy likes spending big money. Maybe he's trying to earn those Starbucks rewards points.
Why don't you just buy one of the franchise? You just become a franchise.
He should. All right, last but not least, Ed, question number 10.
Franchisee.
At a price tag of $7 million, what Michael and Janet Jackson duet owns the Guinness record for most expensive music video?
That's got to be Scream.
It was Scream,
They were using all the back then.
Yeah.
I mean, now a kid could make it, but back then, that was like expensive stuff with the computer animation.
Yeah. I remember that video thinking, wow, this looks kind of cool, but I wasn't a huge fan of the song. So I think I wasn't that dialed in.
Right.
It was all right.
I think it
was about their childhood.
A lot of their later stuff.
Yeah. I think it was about their childhood, just about like growing up in that kind of environment that they did. They needed to let some angst out. So anyways, Edmund, I'm going to give you those last 3. I'm going to give you the Starbucks one too.
Yes.
I'm feeling generous. So you ended up pulling out a respectable 3 out of 10. But
with an asterisk.
Well, Edmund, a good thing there was no money on the line on this one, because you certainly would not have been making it. Off we go, Edman. News thing number 2.
News thing number 2.
Yeah, you really held on for that one. All
Building
right.
suspense,
So our theme for much of today's show, it's been very Robin Leach, hasn't it?
It has been. We've been
sipping champagne and
more Leach,
eating caviar.
Although there's been plenty of Robin.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be paying all the money for the things that they're paying money for.
This is true. Money, excess, the finer things in life. Yes. I've been enjoying it. It makes me feel like I've got all of this stuff.
I feel like it's easy.
It seems easy.
Hearing this, it sounds easy.
Looking at how some of these people are making their money, it seems easy as well. I could have made a Beanie Baby with PVC pellets, I'm sure. I could have made one of those.
I mean, I could take this mic and cover it in clay and
call yourself
sell it for a lot of money.
Artiste? Yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to go from the penthouse to the outhouse in this next story, going from rich to this poor bastard, okay? Because this guy out in Pender, Nebraska, kind of close to Omaha there, he had a horrible time of it last month.
Oh, no.
Yeah. His name is Kurt Kaiser. He's a 63-year-old farmer out there in Nebraska, and he was forced to make a decision I hope you and I, or none of our listeners ever are faced with in our lifetime. All right? He has been a farmer for about 40 years, but last month he accidentally stepped out of his truck and right into a grain hopper. Do you know what a grain hopper is?
No, but it sounds like you wouldn't want to step in it.
It's a bin that takes corn or grain from one place to the other, but it kind of, as you put the whatever you want to transport in, it kind of sucks it through this little hole in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he got his leg stuck in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it immediately sucked his left leg into the machinery. He was trying to free himself, but he could feel it kept like grabbing and pulling him in more and more.
Is there a lot number on that grain?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, he admittedly stepped out of his truck and into the thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was,
Oh my
He's
God.
been doing this 40 years. It's not like that's crazy.
Yeah, it starts to become muscle memory.
Yes,
you don't pay attention
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah.
And
Well,
leg in
anyways,
the grain hopper.
He said, quote, when it first happened, I remember thinking, this ain't good. This is not good at all.
The first thought.
And then he said,
He's a simple man.
Then he said, how long am I going to stay conscious here?
Right?
Yeah, like that was, I'm sure that would have been one of my concerns. Like I'm probably going to pass out. I'm getting my leg mangled by a grain hopper.
Mine would have been like, I have no legs now.
Yeah, right? So anyways, unfortunately, nobody was around and he didn't have his cell phone on him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but he did have his trusty pocket knife on him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he thought, quote, the only way I'm going to get out of here is to just cut it off, so I just started sawing on it.
Oh my God. With a pocket knife?
With a pocket knife.
How do you get through the bone with that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure the machine was aiding, if
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
to guess. Well, he continued with the harrowing play-by-play, saying, quote, when I was cutting it, the nerve endings, I could feel like the ping every time I sawed around that pipe.
Above the knee or below the knee? We're talking
It was below. And all at once it went and
Well, that's not so bad.
all at once it went and let me go, and I got the heck out of there.
Oh,
I'm sure you did, Kurt. I'm sure you did. Kaiser was able to crawl about 150 feet to the nearest phone and called for help, never losing consciousness once, Edman.
Wow, strong guy.
Unbelievable, right?
Could you imagine arriving at a scene on that?
Yeah.
Like it looks like a guy covered in styrofoam or something, like red styrofoam.
Unreal. So once his leg is fully
popcorn.
healed, he's going to be fitted for a prosthetic, and he has his sights set on returning to working on the farm ASAP.
Yeah.
He's remained fairly upbeat too. I watched a couple interviews with him. He said, quote, "It is what it is. Make the best of it is all you can do. Could have always been worse."
Put a little
Could
barrier.
have been worse.
Could have been worse.
Could he went in head first?
He could have lost consciousness.
I mean,
guess.
if he had
Could
lost
have
consciousness,
died
he would have
there.
been in a real bad spot. Yeah. What would you have done, Ed, man? I probably would have died right there in that grain
Probably
hopper.
just screaming
And hoping
screaming
that somebody
forever.
would have screaming forever.
I mean, now that I know you can get away with a pocket knife, I guess I'd do that if I had. I would have a pocket knife.
Yeah,
I
me
wouldn't-
neither. Exactly. That's why I would have been screwed. Well, anyways, this reminded me a lot of a really great movie that I enjoyed back in 2010. It was.
But then again, I wouldn't have a grain hopper.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look up some grain hoppers on
I
eBay.
guess if I was him in that situation, I would have done exactly what he did.
Yes. You would have played it the same. Kurt Kaiser, you're
Stay pat.
You're going to school
His
off Kurt
strategy is
Kaiser.
my strategy.
So yeah, so it reminded me of that 2010 James Franco movie, 127 Hours. You remember that one, Ed?
No, not at all.
He played Aaron Ralston. This is a dude. He was like a mountain climber, a rock climber. He got trapped. His hand and wrist got trapped by a boulder because he fell. And he ended up stuck.
I thought that was a real.
It was a real life thing, but they turned it into a movie in 2010.
But you're bringing up the movie and not the actual event.
I'm bringing up both.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. So he was rock climbing in Utah's Blue John Canyon in April 2003 when this happened, and the movie was based on Ralston's 2004 memoir called Between a Rock and a Hard
Oh
Place.
no, it was not.
It
No,
was.
it wasn't.
It was.
Why would they do that?
He did it. He wrote the memoir. He wrote it.
Well, they shouldn't have
he
let
gave
him.
the title. I mean, it's fitting. It can't be
God.
more fitting. So, anyways, I will have to read it because I
A
love
hop in the grain.
No, wrong guy. We got to Kirk Kaiser's
No,
gotta
I mean,
write
but
that
he
one.
needs a movie too.
Yeah, right. So, anyways, but that movie. Well, maybe you could show him just 40 years of flawless farming, and then one day he just steps in the bucket, literally. So the movie was awesome. I love this movie. It was nominated for 6 Oscars that year. Actually, if you haven't seen it, Ed, you really got to check it out. Ralston ended up spending 5 days there in real life. They 127 hours, but between the time that he fell and trapped himself in that boulder, and then he was on his helicopter on his way out of there. But he tried everything to survive. He was rationing food and water. When he ran out of water, he had to eventually drink his own urine. I don't know if I would recommend that. He was fighting himself and hallucinations. He actually, this is why it kind of reminded me of this story with Mr. Kaiser there in Nebraska, because he tried. He had a blade on him, a pocket knife, but it was so dull he couldn't get through his skin with it. So he was in a really bad spot, right? So eventually what he does, spoiler alert, if you've not seen the movie,
chews through his arm.
Close. He creates some torque and he breaks his own arm. Wow. He snaps it. Like he creates the torque and then snaps against it to break it. Yeah. So then he can slowly amputate it where he needs to with that pocket knife. Yeah, so that really, really ridiculous. So my brother actually said that this was the movie that inspired him to want to take up rock climbing, interestingly enough. For me, it was the movie that let me know that I'm a goner if I ever get into a spot like this or any spot like that. I'm just going to let Jesus take the wheel.
All these stories have let me know that I need to get a pocket knife.
This is true. We need one.
It's a lesson.
Because I don't think you can saw through your arm with your harmonica, man. That's always on your hip.
Although I probably try.
Who's playing that sweet, sweet music here in the canyons? That would be your rescue. You just start, you start playing taps on the harmonica. People are like, wait a minute, what is that? I hear in the distance. So anyways,
they're giving me money and stuff.
There's in the movie, I remember when I watched it the first time in theaters, I was really moved by the last scene because they kind of show him escaping. He had to walk 7 miles after he escaped to find people too. They don't show that part in the movie, but in real life in his memoir, he said that, which is crazy too. He's probably losing blood and trying to walk in the desert heat or whatever.
I guess after the visual of chopping off your own arm, walking is not
I guess
how you want to continue the movie.
This last scene in the movie, it shows James Franco's character going through all these experiences after he gets out and really happy, and it shows him swimming in a pool, and there's this music coming to a crescendo, and James Franco pops out of the pool and looks up, and it's literally Aaron Ralston's family and friends, like maybe 50 people looking back at him. That's cool. I was like, it was very, very moving when I saw it. You still get chills thinking about it. Well, anyways, a couple years later, Ralston met his wife, and they had a baby, and he still does this rock climbing and mountain climbing, but now he always leaves a note to people to tell him where he's going to be.
Well, I'm glad he learned his lesson.
Yeah, so Ed, man, I guess the moral of the story, and you already said it for me, but to the listeners out there and ourselves, I guess it is time to start investing in some pocket knives.
I wonder if WeatherTech makes one or whatever.
You want to give that guy some more money? Before he knows it, he's going to have another Ferrari GTO.
Going to blow it on a car.
Unbelievable, man. Come
old
on.
Car.
We got to give it to people. If there's any fledgling pocket knife creators out there, hit us up on our text line or at our email, and we will be glad to be your first purchase, all right?
Why would we shut out the millionaires, though? That doesn't make any sense.
He's done. He's had enough. I'm done with it, Edman.
Democrat.
We're moving on to our last segment today. It is time for Random Facts. Random Facts for today's date.
All right.
May 24th.
Yes.
May 24th, on this date in history, 1830, Mary Had a Little Lamb by Sarah Josepha Hale is published. A very nice little nursery rhyme.
Famous, but influential?
Not influential in that regard, but it was influential because if you remember last episode, on the Mother's Day episode, we talked about Anna Jarvis and her efforts to get Mother's Day recognized. Well, Sarah Hale is basically the person most responsible for making Thanksgiving a national holiday.
Really?
Yeah. Her campaign started in 1846, and it lasted 17 years. She wrote letters to 5 different presidents: Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and finally Abe Lincoln, to make this a national holiday, because it really was only a New England thing back then. She wanted it nationwide, and Abraham Lincoln was swayed by her letters and supported legislation to make Thanksgiving a national holiday, which happened in 1863.
And what was her name?
Her name was Sarah Josepha Hale.
Sarah Josepha
So Mary
Hale.
had a little
That's
lamb, and then she cooked lamb for Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know if she did. She probably.
If she was alive today, Game of Thrones would get that 8th season remake.
She does seem to have some
got
quite
the drive,
pull.
man.
Yeah, 1935, May 24th, the first Major League Baseball game played at night took place at Cincinnati's Crosley Field. The Reds beat the Philadelphia Phillies that night 2-1. There is still one team in baseball. They played the last night game. They were the latest team, I should say, to play a night game. That was in 1988. It was the Chicago Cubs. They played it against my beloved Mets, and they beat my Mets that night. But even to this day, the Cubs play almost half of their home games during the daytime still. They're actually playing a day game right now as we speak, the Cubs are. So they only play like 30 or 35 home games at night, whereas most of the other teams play like 60, 70 something.
Now, guys, this show is pre-recorded, so please do not switch over to the game.
Please. That Reds Cubs game
happened already.
I think it's over, guys. 1962, astronaut Scott Carpenter becomes the second American to orbit the Earth as he flew aboard Aurora 7. He actually orbited this big marble 3 times on that trip, Ed.
And we're talking about him now. Who says there's no second place?
This is true. Well, actually, he's 4th place if you want to count. He's the 4th American in space behind John Glenn, Alan Shepard, and Gus Grissom.
Why are we bringing him up?
What do you mean? Why are we bringing him up? Second American on this date. That was pretty big deal
that
in 1962,
yeah.
Right? Well, unfortunately,
because it shows it wasn't a fluke.
Unfortunately, all of them have passed now. They called them the Mercury 7. Yeah. John Glenn was the last to pass in 2016 of the Mercury 7, but Alan Shepard passed in 1998 from leukemia. Scott Carpenter actually passed away in 2013, and Gus Grissom unfortunately passed in 1967 with 2 other astronauts during a pre-launch test for an Apollo 1 mission at Cape Kennedy, Florida. So I did not know that, actually. But yeah, Scott Carpenter, can you imagine going into space? I just can't even fathom it. It's
we say we can't.
But Elon Musk working on it, right?
More and more common.
Yeah, we talked about it a bunch of shows back. Elon Musk was going with that, what is it called, SpaceX? Or what?
SpaceX.
Something.
I just saw a very beautiful picture of the launch, their latest launch.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's right. We had a view of that from here a night or 2 ago, didn't we?
Yeah,
we were able to see
I wonder if what they could do is, as they're launching, shoot out an ad out of the ship there. That could make them some extra dough.
At News Freaks Pod. Oh boy, that's gonna be some big coin, Edmund. We're gonna have to get in touch with David McNeil, WeatherTech CEO. So, anyways, one last fact for the listeners and you on this fine Friday, man. I'm excited for this weekend. Happy 54th birthday to John C. Reilly.
Yay.
Great actor. I'm a big John C. Reilly fan. I think he's really underrated, actually. He does a lot more than what people think of him as far as an actor. 2 of my favorite roles of his come from Paul Thomas Anderson movies. First one in 1997, Boogie Nights. He played Reed Rothschild, the porn star partner of Dirk Diggler. Also, 99, he was in Magnolia, played police officer Jim Curring. Most of our listeners probably know him from his Will Ferrell movies. 2006, played Cal Naughton Jr. in Talladega Nights.
Oh, yeah.
2008, he was Dal Dobeck in Step Brothers, right? Those two have a good little thing going on.
Only seen Talladega Nights of all the films that you mentioned, and only because it came bundled with my PlayStation.
You gotta see Step Brothers, very funny. Actually, they just did a Sherlock Holmes one together, too, as Holmes and Watson. Him and Will Ferrell did one. Yeah, I think it was a comedy take. He also does dramas. He's also...
I would hope so.
Jack of all trades. He's the voice of Wreck-It Ralph. Did you know that? John C. Reilly?
Oh, is that who is the voice? He is really good.
Really good.
Now
really good. Now I've sold you, finally.
Connected it to Wreck-It Ralph. Now I have great respect for this guy. Because I actually did look at the past roles of this dude. Yeah. When I was like, that's a great voice. Who does that voice? And when I saw that he did these serious acting roles, I was like, that's very impressive.
Yeah. 1999, he played in a sports movie that I really enjoyed. It was kind of cheesy and corny, but it was called For Love of the Game. Kevin Costner throws a no-hitter in this movie, but he's looking back on his life as he's doing it. Well, he plays his catcher, Gus Sinski, in that one. 2002, he had a couple of his really high-profile roles. He played Happy Jack in the Scorsese movie Gangs of New York. And he also played Amos Hart in Chicago. That's Mr. Cellophane, if you're not familiar with him. And he was nominated for both an Oscar and Golden Globe for that performance. So John C. Reilly isn't just a one-trick pony. He really can do it all on the screen. Yeah. One of his other favorite characters, if you have not checked it out, he is Dr. Steve Brule on Adult Swim, a hilarious, kind of not for everyone, but what I find to be a hilarious, inept doctor character that he's played since 2000 on that station. You can check out YouTube clips of that. Always makes me laugh for some reason. But yeah, happy birthday, John C. Reilly. Hope he has a good Memorial Day weekend as well.
Yep.
So Ed, I guess all that's left for us to do now is head to the Publix and grab our brats and our beers and our water.
Pick up a pocket knife.
Water balloons, water guns. And see what this weekend brings.
That's right.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I hope the listeners are excited, and hope they had a good show today. I was glad to be back.
Yeah, me too.
Felt good to just get back on the horse, right? We may or may not have a special edition coming at them this weekend. So we'll see if we can get the gang together.
It's hard to get everyone together on Memorial Day.
It is. Everybody wants to just get drunk, get sunburned, and forget about life for a few days. Yeah. Or is that just me? That might just be me. Anyways.
well, I mean, I think some of those things are more you than they are other people.
Well, yeah, I hear you. Well, anyways, listeners, thank you again, as always, for joining us.
See if we can pick you up off the floor for a special edition on Sunday.
I'm going to try. We might have to have a stand-in special guest here. Anyways, guys, again, we love the fact that you're out there, hopefully enjoying yourself, sharing some useless knowledge with each other. That's our goal, just to take you away from your lives for hours at a time.
Yeah.
Or an hour 20 at a time, anyways. Be sure to drop us a note, mail at thenewsfreaks.com. That text line always open, 904-300-2475. The News Freaks on Facebook or at News Freaks Pod on Twitter. Catch us Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, and also Podbean now. We're all over the place, Ed, man.
Yes, we are.
So that's going to wrap it for us, Ed. I'm Terry.
I'm the Ed Man.
We're the News Freaks.
See ya.